I want to desensitize Castor to some bell boots. So he's had his legs handled, desensitized. I can pick him up, I can move him, I can pick out his feet, I can move his legs around, and he's been trimmed by the farrier. But he hasn't had anything on them as far as boots go. So I wanted to do bell boots because they're less like invasive, I guess, like they're around his hoof, so he's gonna definitely feel something, but it's not gonna be as much as like an actual boot or like a polo wrap would be. So he'll stand here and let me kind of just mess around here. Or unfortunately, my camera angle wasn't great here, but what I did was just kind of make the bell boot make noise because of the Velcro. Because I just have like the fabric ones with the Velcro, and then I just put that around his foot and then took it off, and or as it was on, it clicked, and then took it off and then fed, and then now like he was cool with that. Like then I put it on his foot, and so he's like, "Oh my, this is strange." And I probably should have had my target out. He doesn't know how to do the hand target, um, and I could have also not fastened it all the way and just had it a little bit looser. Just like I could have done more times with it. What I just did originally, where I had it touch him, clicked, fed, took it off, or clicked, took it off, and then increased it the amount of time the boot was on over time. He's fine with it. Like he is doing the normal like domestic horse, like, oh, there's something on my feet, like do boots for the first time where he lifts it higher. He's not completely freaking out. I think if I did the same thing with Atlas, he probably would freak out. He would be like, something's attached and he might run and into something and hurt himself. So I probably should have added in some more steps for Castor, but me knowing that Castor is definitely more of a forgiving, more curious person horse, then that's what I did at the time. So I definitely would have still done some more steps with Castor specifically, but if you have another horse, like for example Atlas, definitely add more steps in there. So I'm just letting him hang out. He did well. Like I don't think he didn't understand like that it was gonna be attached to him. So he was like, oh my gosh, that's scary. If you think your horse might react to that, even if you slowly build up the amount of time the boot's touching the horse, once once it's attached and they're moving around, and this is going to be for Mustang training, probably most likely, because most domestic horses don't have a problem with it. But if you're doing this, I would probably do it in the round pen. For Atlas, I'm going to do it in the round pen. So if he runs around, like it's a little bit more secure. Like here, he could get tangled in the round pen. Like I have wood fencing, which should hold him, but not necessarily. Like the round pen's going to be just a lot sturdier. So I would recommend that. But this is our journey here, so. And I'm just going to have him take a few steps with it on. So ideally, I should have built up the time that it touched him, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and so on for about 10 or so. And then actually attached it, and then 1 second, 2 second, so to where like it's already on. It's not just touching him, it's like fastened, and then have it be like it's on for 1 step, take it off. It's on for 2 steps, take it off. I definitely lumped all these things together here. So if I was retraining it, I would have definitely split everything up a lot better. He's doing well here. Like he's doing like the higher step. Like, oh, this feels weird, but he's not panicking and he's not super worried about it. But I definitely would have done it differently now looking back on it. So, and at the time that I'm voicing this over, this was last year, so. But I had never trained a horse to like get used to bell boots. Like Castor and Atlas are my first Mustangs. So everything else that I've trained, they might not have necessarily had boots on, but they were domestic horses. So I'm just gonna have him stop, and he's cool with me touching his legs. That's definitely a prerequisite. Make sure that's definitely something they're cool with before you decide to put these on. I'm gonna let him target it there and just kind of see it. And you make sure your horse is good with the Velcro sound if you have boots like this. Um, and you probably will, because putting on the other bell boots that you have to pull over the hoof is a real pain. So, and you probably want to take them off quickly if you need to. So I wouldn't recommend doing that either. But I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side here. So just have it touching him. I think I just made unfortunately I can't see it. I think I made the Velcro noise, and then I have it just touching him and rewording him here for just having it there on his leg. And he's being really good. Like I like this nice relaxed body language. I should have moved the camera to where you could see that it's on his foot, but I'm just again putting it on, clicking, like I fed, and then I took it off, and then I put it on again here, and now I'm feeding again, and it's on. So, and then I'll ask him to move. And this time he did a lot better. I think that first time he was like, whoa, what's happening? But now he's like, okay, things are on my feet. And so he just walked forward normally. Like the first um, response he did going to the other way when I going the other direction when I had it on his right foot, uh, that first like second there, I was like, oh, I didn't think that he's gonna react quite that much. This is what I thought his reaction was gonna be on the other side as well. So like here, like he's just like okay, like he's lifting his leg up a little bit higher than normal, but overall like it's not bad. So he looks really good. Like he's really settled into it, and it's not really a big deal. This is what most domestic horses are going to look like, unless they have some kind of issue with like leg handling or they're feral, or you have a Mustang. Um, so when I haven't done it with Atlas yet, as I edit this video, but I'm definitely going to break it down more, and we'll probably do it in the round pen, the actual round pen, and then I can see all the steps and kind of fix definitely how I train it and how I video it because I couldn't really see what I was doing when I was putting it on his hole. So, but this looks really good. I'm really happy with all of that, and I would do one at a time too, like I'm doing here. I would still do that because I don't want to overwhelm them and you know to do too many things at once. I definitely think um, it would have increased Castor's reaction if I would have just put both on. Like that would have not been good. So um, go ahead and put. Now I'm going to put both on. So since he's had each on separately, and he's okay with that, now I'm going to put both on. But I wouldn't recommend putting both on to begin with. Like him, let him think about one thing at a time. So even though he's been walking, he went a whole lap with that left front bell boot on. He's when I put that right front bell boot on, he those first few steps he took were a lot more exaggerated. So that's interesting. It's interesting how it kind of changed his mind. He was like, "Oh, this is different." And then he had to like step weird again. But then he settles into it, and that's exactly what I was looking for. But I found that quite interesting. So definitely breaking things down. It's hard when you have a horse like that's so forgiving and interested and curious like Castor is like you get in a habit of like lumping things because you can and you get away with it, but you shouldn't necessarily do that. Like with Atlas, I cannot do that. Like I split things up into tiny pieces for him because I'm probably more afraid of scaring him and then I have to go back and deal with this big mess. So he's still walking ahead a little bit there, but he did have a really nice whoa for me. So I haven't mastered my editing yet with my new GoPro as I go out of frame a little bit, but I'm just gonna do like a lap here. I'm just gonna focus on just leading, having him stop, go forward, and just kind of be relaxed. I just want him to have a good first experience with this. From this point, I'd probably do this a couple more times just because I want him to get used to the whole thing. Like probably the next time I would just put both bell boots on since he's handling it well here, let him walk both directions, and then maybe start doing a different groundwork exercise, maybe just lunging away from the round pen, maybe in a different location, just doing something else, and doing a few sessions with him wearing the bell boots, doing something else before I would start like riding him in it. He's not under saddle yet, but that's what I would do if you are riding. But this looks really nice. Now he's just walking normal, so I'm really happy with that. His first reaction, I'd like for that to be toned down a bit, but that was definitely my fault. So I have some next time I do it, I have some things to improve on, but overall, it went pretty well. So I'm really happy with that, and he's still very attentive and relaxed. So that's really what it's all about.